The galaxy had always been full of danger, but humanity believed it had learned enough to protect itself. For many years, humans expanded carefully, building research stations, trade routes, and peaceful colonies. They thought they understood their place among the stars. They thought they were ready for anything. But the enemy that arrived was something no one expected, and nothing humanity had ever faced could prepare them for it. It began quietly, almost without notice. At the edge of human space, deep-range listening stations detected strange signals, sharp pulses of energy, too fast and too controlled to be natural. At first, scientists believed it was just another unknown star event. But then the signals repeated in patterns that looked like movement. Something was coming closer, something fast, something large. When the first colony went silent, people still hoped it was a simple system failure. But when the second one vanished, hope began to fade. Fleets sent to investigate found only ruins, stations torn apart like paper, ships drifting without power, and entire cities burned to ash. There were no survivors, no warnings, no demands, nothing that explained why this destruction was happening. The enemy left no message. It only left silence. Commanders on Earth gathered in emergency meetings, but fear spread faster than orders. Military ships moved to the borders, but even they knew they were not ready. Everything about the attack was too sudden, too precise, too powerful, and wherever the enemy went, they moved like a shadow that could not be seen until it was too late. Some began calling them the Voidborn, because they seemed to come from the darkness between stars itself. In the middle of this fear, Captain Myra Hale stood on the command deck of the United Earth starship Horizon. She was young but known for her calm mind and sharp instincts. Her gray eyes were steady, even as the alarms flashed red across the bridge. Reports were coming in faster than anyone could process, entire systems collapsing. Civilian transports disappearing. Military fleets losing contact moments after entering battle. She listened to every message, every cry for help, every broken transmission filled with static and fear. Her hands trembled slightly, but no one on the bridge noticed. To them, she was a symbol of control, a leader who would decide what humanity should do next. But inside her heart, she carried the same fear everyone else did, the fear that humanity was already losing. A deep vibration shook the horizon as it entered high alert mode. Lights dimmed, shields powered up. Crew members took positions. Myra watched the star map as red marks spread like blood across the galaxy. They were losing ground too fast. The Voidborn were overwhelming everything. Admiral Rourke appeared on the main screen, his face hard but tired. "Captain Hale, we have confirmation. The enemy has breached Line Alpha. The eastern colonies have fallen. We're running out of time." Myra kept her voice steady. "What are our orders, sir?" Rourke hesitated, which scared the crew more than any alarm ever could. Admirals did not hesitate, not during war, not during crisis, but even he looked uncertain. "We need a solution," he said quietly. "Something beyond our own power, something outside our reach." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what he meant, but no one wanted to be the first to say it. There was only one species in the galaxy powerful enough to stand against such destruction. One species feared even by the bravest warriors. One species humanity had avoided for centuries because asking them for help meant risking everything. The Sovereigns, alien beings of unmatched intelligence and terrifying strength. Their ships were older than human civilizations. Their weapons could reshape planets. No one knew how many of them existed, but every story about them ended in one message: never call them unless you are ready to pay a price. Humanity had already decided long ago that they would never ask the Sovereigns for help. But now humanity was dying. Myra felt her heart tighten. "Sir, are you saying we should contact them?" Rourke's voice dropped to a whisper. "We have no choice." The crew exchanged fearful glances. Everyone had heard the legends. The Sovereigns did not answer normal messages. They did not speak to diplomats. They did not negotiate. To contact them, one had to send a beacon of surrender, a signal that admitted humanity could not survive alone. No species had ever sent such a signal without consequences. Myra's pulse quickened. She had trained her whole life to defend humanity, not to beg for help. But begging might be the only thing left. She drew a slow breath. "Prepare the long-range communication array." The officers froze. Lieutenant Wren looked pale. "Captain, once the beacon is sent, we cannot take it back." "I know," she said softly. Myra stood before the console. Her hand hovered over the activation key. The room felt too quiet, as if the ship itself were holding its breath. Outside the window, distant stars shone like tiny cold eyes watching her. If she pressed the key, humanity would be admitting defeat. If she did not press it, humanity might not live long enough to regret the decision. A soft chime sounded as the horizon detected another enemy fleet entering human territory. Time was gone. Myra closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the faces of the people she was sworn to protect. She opened her eyes, filled with determination. "Begin transmission," she ordered. The console lit up with glowing blue rings that pulsed with ancient symbols. The beacon of surrender activated, sending a message into the deepest parts of the galaxy, a place no human had ever dared to reach. A place where the sovereigns were waiting. When the transmission ended, the bridge remained silent. No one spoke. No one moved. They all knew what they had done. Myra stepped back, her voice barely above a whisper. "Now we wait and hope the most dangerous species in the galaxy chooses to answer." The message had already left the horizon, racing across the galaxy faster than any human ship could travel. But the silence that followed was heavier than anything the crew expected. Minutes felt like hours. Every tick of the clock echoed through the bridge like a warning. No one wanted to imagine what would happen if the sovereigns chose not to answer. Or worse, if they answered with violence. Captain Myra Hale stood at the center of the command deck, watching the faint blue glow of the transmission log. Her hands were steady, but her heartbeat was loud in her ears. She tried to focus on the screens in front of her, but her mind kept returning to the stories she heard as a child. Stories about beings who lived longer than civilizations, beings who could destroy fleets with a single gesture. Lieutenant Wren approached her quietly. "Captain, do you really think they heard us?" Myra's voice stayed calm. "They heard us, they always hear everything." The crew shifted nervously. Everyone knew that contacting the sovereigns was like shouting into a storm. You never knew what would come back. Sensors continued scanning the region, showing only stars and empty space. For a moment it almost felt peaceful until the horizon shook with a sudden jolt. Consoles flickered. Some officers grabbed onto their seats. A low hum echoed through the ship, vibrating like a giant heartbeat. Myra turned sharply. "Report, Captain," the sensor officer said, his voice trembling. "A spatial distortion is forming directly ahead of us." On the main screen, space itself twisted like a piece of cloth being pulled. Light bent, stretched, and collapsed into a swirling vortex. Every crew member on the bridge stared in fear and awe. Humans had seen warp signatures before, but nothing like this. This was not a ship entering normal space. This was something bending the universe to appear exactly where it wanted. The distortion opened like an eye. From the center, a massive shape emerged, sleek, black, and smooth like obsidian. The ship was larger than any human vessel, shaped like a blade made for cutting through stars. Blue energy pulsed along its edges, and strange, glowing symbols moved across its surface like living light. The bridge fell silent again. Wren whispered, "It's them." Myra understood immediately. Only one species could tear open space like that. Only one species had ships that looked like nightmares carved into beauty. "Open comms," she ordered. But before anyone could respond, a new sound filled the bridge, a sharp, ringing tone that did not come from their systems. Every console on the horizon flickered. Holograms warped. The ship's lights dimmed to a deep, eerie blue. Then a voice echoed through the air. It did not come from speakers. It felt as if the ship itself was speaking. The voice was calm, smooth, and strangely cold, like wind blowing across ice. "Human vessel, we received your beacon." Some officers almost jumped from their seats. Others looked at Myra in desperation. Myra stood straight. "This is Captain Myra Hale of the United Earth Starship Horizon. We request assistance against an enemy that threatens our entire species." There was a pause. For a moment, the only sound was the soft hum of the sovereign ship outside. Finally, the voice spoke again. "We are aware of the enemy you face. The Voidborn are not new to us." That answer sent a wave of fear through the crew. Humanity had believed the Voidborn were some unknown nightmare, something new that no one had ever seen before. But the Sovereigns already knew them. And the tone in the alien's voice suggested something worse, that the Sovereigns understood their power far better than humans did. Myra swallowed her fear. "Can you help us?" Another pause followed. The alien voice softened slightly. "Help is not given without cost." Myra expected this. Every story about the Sovereigns said the same thing. They never acted freely. Their assistance always demanded something in return, but humanity had already lost too much. Whatever the price was, they would have to consider it. "What do you want?" she asked carefully. The lights on the bridge dimmed again and an image appeared before Myra, a hologram projected directly into the air. It showed the galaxy from above, glowing with stars. Slowly, the image zoomed in on human territory. Red marks appeared, showing the areas taken by the Voidborn. Then the image zoomed further, revealing Earth. A cold, heavy silence fell across the room. "Your home world is next," the voice said. "If you fall, the Voidborn will spread beyond this galaxy. They consume without end." Myra felt her breath catch. She already knew the situation was bad, but hearing it from the Sovereigns made it feel even more real. "What must humanity give in return for your help?" she asked. The voice replied, "We require a single representative. One human who will speak for your entire species. This individual must come aboard our vessel. They will not return until the war is finished." Gasps echoed across the bridge. Ren stepped forward. "You mean they want a hostage?" The alien answered gently, but with an unmistakable sense of power. "We require understanding, cooperation, a connection between our kinds. This is not a hostage. This is a bond that must be formed." Myra knew what the crew was thinking. No one wanted to volunteer. No one wanted to step onto a ship belonging to the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And yet someone had to. Her heart felt heavy, but her decision was clear. "I will go," she said quietly. Ren grabbed her arm, eyes wide. "Captain, no, you can't do that. We need you here." Myra shook her head. "Humanity needs someone the Sovereigns will respect. This is our only chance." The alien voice returned. "Captain Myra Hale, we accept your decision." A beam of blue light extended from the Sovereign ship, forming a bridge of energy that connected directly to the Horizon's docking bay. The moment it appeared, everyone on the bridge could feel the power running through it, something ancient, something beyond human understanding. Myra stepped forward, her face calm but her heart racing. She looked at her crew one last time, offering a small, reassuring smile. "Hold the line," she said, "no matter what happens." Then she walked toward the docking bay, taking the first step toward the unknown ship and the most dangerous species humanity had ever encountered. The docking bay of the Horizon felt colder than usual as Captain Myra Hale walked toward the glowing bridge of blue light connecting her ship to the massive Sovereign vessel. The strange energy made the air ripple, humming with a sound too soft to be heard, but strong enough to make her skin feel electric. Every step felt heavier, not because of fear, but because she understood the weight of her decision. She was crossing into a place where no human had ever traveled willingly. The crew lined up along the walkway, watching her silently. Some saluted, some looked afraid, others looked hopeful. Myra kept her eyes forward. If she looked back for even a second, she feared she might hesitate, and hesitation was something she could not allow herself anymore. Humanity needed answers. Humanity needed help, and the Sovereigns were their only chance. The blue bridge pulsed with light as she stepped onto it. Her boots touched the strange energy, yet it felt solid, as if she were walking on a smooth, perfect surface. The light shifted around her feet like gentle waves responding to her movement. With every step, the horizon behind her grew smaller, and the dark, colossal vessel before her grew larger, its deep black hull reflecting no light at all. It looked like a giant shadow given shape. As she reached the end of the bridge, a circular doorway opened silently, revealing a long corridor of glowing lines and floating particles. The air inside was different, cleaner, lighter, almost too perfect. She could feel the temperature adjusting around her, as if the ship were studying her and responding to her presence. A figure appeared at the far end of the corridor. Tall, graceful, alien. The being moved forward with slow, deliberate steps. Its skin was a pale, shimmering silver, smooth and unblemished. Its eyes were large and black, but not empty. There was intelligence inside them, deep and old. Its clothing seemed woven from strands of light, constantly shifting and changing patterns. "You are Captain Myra Hale," the alien said, its voice calm and echoing slightly as if two tones were speaking at the same time. Myra nodded. "Yes, and you are." "I am Sarakin, representative of the Sovereign Council," the alien replied. "I will guide you. There is much you must understand." Myra followed Sarakin down the long corridor. The walls shifted color as they passed, moving from blue to silver to deep violet. Strange symbols floated through the air like dust made of light. The ship felt alive, not in a frightening way, but in a way that suggested it was aware of everything happening inside it. As they walked, Myra asked, "What exactly are the Voidborn? Why are they attacking us?" Sarakin stopped. For a moment the alien's expression, if it could be called that, seemed to darken. The Voidborn are not a species, Sarakin said softly. They are a hunger. They were created long ago by a civilization that believed they could control destruction itself. But destruction cannot be controlled. The Voidborn broke free. They consume matter, energy, and even memory. When they arrive, they erase. Myra felt a cold shiver rush through her. Erase. Yes, Sarakin said. The places they destroy, those who survive cannot even remember what was lost. It is not death. It is removal from existence. Myra's heart tightened. Humanity had feared extinction, but this was something far beyond that. This was a threat to reality itself. Sarakin continued walking. Your species is brave, but you cannot fight the Voidborn alone. We have held them back for thousands of years, but now they grow stronger, and your galaxy is their next path. Then why help us? Myra asked. Why now? Sarakin turned to her again. Because if humanity falls, the balance will break. The Voidborn will spread faster. We cannot allow that. They reached a large chamber with a floating platform at its center. Myra stepped onto it with Sarakin. The platform rose smoothly, carrying them upward into a dark space filled with spinning stars. A holographic map appeared around them, showing the galaxy in breathtaking detail. Myra had seen star charts before, but nothing like this. Every star, every nebula, every energy field was displayed with perfect clarity. Sarakin pointed to a glowing cluster near human territory. This is where the Voidborn originate in your region. Their core nest is deep within a tier in space. If we destroy the nest, their advance will slow. Myra studied the map. So we attack the nest. Yes, Sarakin replied, but not with human ships. They would be erased before they reached it. Myra frowned. Then what do you need from me? Sarakin's black eyes softened. Your species has something unique. Something even we do not have. Myra looked confused. What is that? Resilience born from fear. Courage born from loss. You fight even when you know the odds are impossible. We need a human mind to help navigate the nest's defenses. Your emotions allow you to see paths that our logic cannot. Myra stared at the alien, unsure what to say. She had expected to be a diplomat, a messenger, or a symbolic offering. She had not expected to be part of the battle itself. You want me to join the mission? She asked quietly. No, Sarakin said. We want you to lead it. A pulse of light traveled through the chamber as the platform lowered again. Myra felt her heart pounding faster. She was only one person, one captain. There were many who were stronger, smarter, or more experienced. Yet these powerful beings, the most feared species in the galaxy, were asking her to stand at the front of a war humanity barely understood. Why me? She whispered. Sarakin answered without hesitation. Because when you sent the beacon, you did not send it out of fear. You sent it out of duty, and duty is something the Voidborn can never erase. A soft chime echoed through the ship. Sarakin looked upward. The council has arrived. They wish to meet you. Myra drew a deep breath. She did not know what waited for her beyond the next door, but she knew one thing with absolute clarity. Humanity's survival now depended on her, and she would not fail. The doors of the chamber opened with a slow, deep vibration that echoed through the floor beneath Myra's feet. Sarakin stepped aside, allowing her to walk forward alone. Myra hesitated only for a moment before taking her first step into the council hall. She reminded herself that she was representing not just her ship, not just her crew, but every human alive. Whatever happened next would shape humanity's future. The hall was enormous, larger than any room Myra had ever seen. Its ceiling stretched upward like the inside of a cathedral made from shifting starlight. The walls were smooth and black, but glowing patterns moved across them, forming strange symbols that changed every few seconds. At the center of the chamber stood 6 tall figures, each one different from Sarakin, yet all sharing the same graceful presence and shimmering skin. These were the Sovereign Council. Their eyes turned toward Myra as she approached. She felt something brush against her mind, not painful but powerful, as if the air itself were searching her thoughts. She stayed calm, keeping her posture straight. She would not show fear even if her heart was racing. One of the figures stepped forward. Its body glowed faintly with gold light. "Captain Myra, hail of humanity," it said, voice deeper and more layered than Sarakin's. "You have come in a time of great danger." Myra nodded respectfully. "Humanity is under attack. We had no other choice but to ask for your help." Another sovereign moved closer, its voice gentler. "We understand. The Voidborn have pushed beyond the borders we once controlled. Your species is not the only one threatened." Myra took a slow breath. "I want to know exactly what you expect from me." The 6 sovereigns formed a circle around her, not closing her in, but creating an atmosphere of importance. The room dimmed, and the star-like ceiling above them shifted into a swirling image of a dark storm. Myra watched as glowing white dots, representing ships or worlds, disappeared inside the storm's center. Sarakin stepped forward from behind her. This is the heart of the nest. It exists in a pocket of space where normal physics fail. We cannot fully map it. The Golden Sovereign continued. We need a mind that can adapt quickly. A mind that is not bound by our ancient rules. A mind willing to take risks we cannot see. Myra looked at them one by one. You want me to command your forces? No, the gentle-voiced sovereign said. You will command something entirely new. The floor beneath her lit up in a ring of blue light. A hologram rose from the ground, forming a shape she had never seen before. A small, sharp vessel with wings that curved inward, glowing with shifting symbols like the ones on the walls. This is the Spear of Dawn, Sarakin explained. A ship that responds to thought. It is alive in a way your species may find hard to understand. Myra stared at the ship's hologram. Alive, like intelligent. In its own way, Sarakin replied. It moves with its pilot's intentions. But it cannot function with our minds. It rejects us. The sovereign with the golden glow stepped forward again. It chooses only those who act from duty, not fear. Only a human can use it. Myra tried to process everything. She was being asked to enter a living ship from a species humanity had feared for centuries. She was being told she was the only one who could guide it. And she was being sent into a nest of creatures that could erase worlds. Part of her wanted to step back and breathe, but another part of her, the part that had sent the beacon, the part that had volunteered to come here, knew there was no turning back. When do we begin? She asked. Sarakin's eyes glimmered. Soon. But first, you must undergo the linking. Myra felt a chill. What is that? The moment Myra stepped into the launch bay of the sovereign vessel, everything felt different. The air hummed with energy, the walls pulsed with soft blue light, and the space around her seemed alive. Standing at the center of the bay was the Spear of Dawn, no longer a hologram, but a real, physical ship. Its sleek body curved like a blade, glowing with faint patterns that shifted slowly like breathing. Myra approached it carefully. Even though she had already linked with the ship, seeing it in front of her made her heart beat faster. The surface of the vessel shimmered as she drew near, reacting to her presence. It opened silently, forming a smooth entryway that expanded like liquid metal shaping itself. Sarakin stood beside her. It recognizes you. It will respond only to your commands. Myra nodded, placing her hand on the ship's surface. It felt warm, almost human. She felt a small vibration like the ship was greeting her. The voice she had heard earlier echoed gently in her mind. You have returned. Myra stepped inside. The interior of the ship was unlike anything human-made. There were no metal panels, no buttons, no normal screens. Instead, glowing strands of energy floated around the cockpit like threads of light. A seat formed beneath her as she approached, shaping itself perfectly to her body. When she sat down, the lights wrapped around her arms and waist, not restraining her but connecting to her. Sarakin's voice came from the entryway. When you launch, the ship will merge with your senses. You will see the battlefield through its eyes. You will feel its movement as if it were your own. Myra swallowed softly. She felt ready, but she also knew she was stepping into something far bigger than she could understand. Tell me, she said, what happens if the link fails? Sarakin paused. Then the ship will not respond and you will drift into the nest without defenses. Myra took a deep breath, understood. The ship sealed around her. The entryway closed. Lights pulsed brighter. She could still hear Sarakin faintly through a small communication link. Your crew wishes to speak with you before launch, Sarakin said. A hologram appeared beside her. Admiral Rourke, Lieutenant Wren, and some members of the Horizon's bridge. Their images flickered slightly, but Myra could see their expressions clearly. Rourke spoke first. Captain, it's good to see your face. Myra smiled softly. How bad is the situation? Wren answered with a worried expression. Voidborn fleets are attacking the outer stations. Earth's defenses are preparing for evacuation drills. Myra's chest tightened. Earth, her home, was running out of time. Rourke leaned slightly forward. Whatever the Sovereigns have asked of you, follow through. We trust you, Myra, all of us. Myra nodded. I won't fail. Tell the crew to hold the line. Reinforcements are coming. The holograms vanished, but their presence gave her strength. She turned her attention to the ship. I'm ready, she whispered. The Spear of Dawn responded instantly. A rush of energy surged through her body, not painful but powerful. Her vision blurred for a moment, and suddenly she could see more than the cockpit. She could see the entire launch bay. She could see the sovereign ship's hull from the outside. She could see the stars beyond. The ship had linked fully. A deep hum grew through the vessel. The floor beneath her vibrated. Launch sequence complete, the ship's voice said. Prepare for departure. The bay opened, revealing the darkness of space. For a moment, everything was still. Then the spear of dawn shot forward with incredible speed. Stars became streaks of light. Space bent around the ship. Myra felt the movement as naturally as walking. The ship responded to her thoughts, turning when she imagined it, accelerating when she felt urgency. She had never experienced anything like this. Sarakin's voice echoed through the link. You are heading toward the nest. Follow the path the spear shows you. A glowing trail appeared in Myra's vision, forming a route across space. She followed it, weaving between broken asteroids and regions where space shimmered unnaturally. After several minutes, a dark fog appeared ahead, like a swirling wound in the universe, the void-born nest, massive, unnatural, and alive. As Myra approached, she felt something cold brush against her thoughts, a whisper, a hunger. She shivered despite herself. The ship reacted sharply. The nest is aware of us. Myra steadied her breathing. Can we enter? We must. The core is inside. As they dove toward the swirling tier, strange shapes moved inside the darkness, creatures of shifting shadows and lightless bodies. Myra felt their presence, like fingers scraping the edges of her mind. Then one of them lunged. The ship reacted instantly, firing a beam of bright blue energy that sliced through the creature. Its form shattered into dust, but more were coming. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Myra felt fear rising, but she pushed it down. We can do this, let's move. Her emotions translated into pure action. The spear of dawn spun, twisted, and cut through the swarm with unmatched grace. Each move felt like she was the one dodging, weaving, striking. It was frightening, but also incredible. As they flew deeper into the nest, the space around them grew darker. The shadows thickened. The creatures became faster, stronger. The ship warned her each time one approached, but Myra soon realized something unexpected. The enemy was learning. Their movements were changing, adapting. They began predicting her attacks. One nearly struck the ship, sending a shock through her senses. Myra gritted her teeth. We won't let them stop us. The ship's voice resonated, steady and strong. Together we cannot fail. They finally reached the core, a massive sphere of twisting darkness, pulsing like a beating heart. Every pulse sent a ripple through space, erasing pieces of reality around it. Myra stared at it with a shaking breath. How do we destroy that? The ship answered, for that, we must reach inside. Before Myra could react, the void-born core opened like a giant mouth of darkness, releasing a wave of energy that shook the ship violently. Alarms flared inside her mind. The ship's voice strained. They are pulling us in. Myra grabbed the armrests, even though she didn't need them. Then we'll break free. Push now. We cannot escape, the ship said, but we can go forward. The core dragged them closer, closer, until Myra saw nothing but darkness swallowing the stars. And she knew the final battle had begun. The darkness swallowed the spear of dawn completely. Myra felt the ship falling into a place that did not feel like normal space. There was no light, no sound, no sense of direction. It was like sinking into a bottomless ocean made of nothingness. She had trained for war, for fear, for danger, but she had never trained for this. Even her breathing felt distant, as if the void was trying to pull it away from her. The ship spoke softly in her mind. Do not lose focus. The void feeds on confusion. Myra steadied her thoughts. I'm still here. Shapes began to form inside the darkness, shadowy figures with hollow eyes, drifting like ghosts. They whispered without sound, pressing against the edges of her mind. She felt memories flicker, her childhood, her friends, the Horizon crew, Earth. Each memory shook slightly like the Voidborn were trying to erase them. The ship reacted quickly. Resist. They cannot erase what you protect. Myra pushed back. Every important memory, her mother's smile, her first day in command, her crew cheering during victories, she held them tightly in her mind like anchors. The shadows recoiled, hissing silently. A faint light appeared ahead, pulsing with slow rhythm. Myra understood instantly. That's the core, she said, the real one. Yes, the ship replied. The source of the Voidborn hunger, destroying it will weaken them everywhere. As they moved closer, the shadows thickened into massive creatures. These were not the small ones from earlier battles. These were guardians, giant beasts made of swirling dark energy, each one easily the size of a building. One lunged. Myra dodged, guiding the ship like she was moving her own body. Another attacked from the side, forcing her into a tight spiral. The creatures moved faster with every second, their forms shifting unpredictably. The ship warned her. Their strength increases near the core. If they strike the link, we will be separated. Myra felt her pulse spike. If that happened, both she and the ship would be lost. They would be erased. She forced her fear away and focused. The spear of dawn glowed brighter, slicing through a creature with a beam of blue light. Myra turned sharply, dodging a second beast, then firing again, but there were too many. "We can't fight all of them," she said. "We do not need to fight all," the ship replied. "Only one path leads to the core." A narrow opening formed between the creatures, twisting like a tunnel. It looked unstable, but it was the only chance. Myra took it. The ship accelerated, rushing through the chaotic space while the Guardians swarmed behind them. When they burst into the heart of the nest, everything changed. The space around them was bright, blindingly bright. A massive sphere of white energy floated at the center, pulsing like a dying star. Each pulse shook the void around it. Myra felt its presence, something ancient, something broken. "The core has weakened," the ship said. "We must strike now." "How?" she asked. "We don't have enough power." "You do," the ship answered. "Through our link." Myra understood. The ship did not feed only on its own energy. It fed on her emotions, her strength, her will. That was why it accepted only her. Humans felt things deeply. Humans fought hardest when everything was on the line. Myra closed her eyes. She thought of Earth. She imagined families running to shelters, soldiers preparing to defend, children looking to the sky with fear and hope. She imagined her crew on the horizon, holding the line like she asked. She imagined humanity standing together, wanting to live. The ship glowed brighter. Light wrapped around Myra like a warm shield. "Together we strike," the ship said. They accelerated toward the core. The sphere pulsed violently, trying to push them back, but Myra held her focus. Guardians appeared around them, screaming in silent rage. The spear of dawn dodged and cut through them, driven by Myra's determination. The core expanded like it was ready to explode. Myra shouted, "Now!" A burst of blinding blue energy erupted from the ship, merging with her thoughts and emotions. The strike hit the center of the core, piercing it completely. For one moment, everything froze. Then the core shattered into thousands of glowing fragments. The explosion that followed was silent but powerful enough to send shockwaves across the void. The Guardians dissolved instantly. The swirling darkness collapsed. Light surged outward, washing away the shadows. The spear of dawn was thrown back, spinning uncontrollably. Myra felt the shock hit her mind, but the ship held the link firmly. "The nest is breaking apart," the ship warned. "We must escape." A path opened, a long tunnel of collapsing space. Myra guided the ship through it, dodging fragments of broken reality. The tunnel grew brighter, until suddenly, they burst back into normal space. Stars returned, light returned. The Sovereign fleet appeared ahead, their ships glowing with renewed energy. Myra gasped for breath, realizing she had been holding it. Saraken's voice came through the link. "Captain Hale, the nest signal has vanished. You succeeded." Myra leaned back, trembling with relief. "What about Earth?" There was a pause then. "The Voidborn fleets are collapsing. They are retreating. Humanity is safe for now." Myra closed her eyes. She felt tears forming, but she let them fall. The weight she had carried for so long slowly lifted from her shoulders. The Sovereign ship approached, opening a large docking ring. Saraken stood waiting inside when the spear of dawn landed. Myra exited slowly, still feeling the ship's